For 57 years, we've known Scooby-Doo as an animated sleuthing dog running from ghosts, solving mysteries, and unmasking villains with his Mystery Inc. We've seen him mostly as an animated character and sometimes as CGI in live-action films, but this time, we're about to see a real dog playing Scooby-Doo for the first time ever. Netflix just dropped a new teaser for the upcoming Scooby-Doo Origins, and for me, it just passed the vibe check right away. My 90s nostalgic eyes were all teared up to see Scooby-Doo as a real pup who hasn't even grown his spots yet. So yeah, just like everyone out there who grew up with these characters, I'm dying to get all the details on this upcoming show. So here I am, wanting to share my excitement with you by confirming 12 details we know so far about this upcoming origin story. So without further ado, let's get right to it. The franchise has never done this with Scooby before, until now. Scooby-Doo has been a pop culture legend for more than half a century. Crossing the boundaries of Saturday morning shows, he went on to become a merchandise icon and one of the mascots of the vintage cartoon era. William Hanna and Joseph Barbera were the animation legends who gave us many of these cartoon characters that became part of our culture. Scooby-Doo kinda ruled that domain since 1969, and even starred in movies, but only as a CGI. However, this time, Netflix said no to the conventions and instantly made history with just one specific change. And that change is bringing a real dog into the set. Now, dogs have delivered some pretty solid performances in films like Anatomy of a Fall, Good Boy, and Pred. So maybe this cute little pup is going to be another good boy of cinema and become the definitive live-action Scooby-Doo for this new generation. Frank Welker is voicing Scooby-Doo, and this will be his first time doing it in live action. So why is Scooby-Doo Origins so special to me? And of course, to a lot of the fans like us? Well, the reason is his voice, because you're gonna hear something wonderfully familiar if you've literally grown up with this character. Frank Welker has been an integral part of the Scooby-Doo franchise for more than 5 decades, since his voice was heard through Fred Jones's character in the original animated show Scooby-Doo Where Are You? In 1969. The original voice of our beloved Canine was actually given by Don Messick, the man behind his iconic Roro. But after his death in 1997, Warner Brothers preferred to go with Frank's voice for Scooby. Although Scott Innes took over for a brief amount of time, it was Frank's voice that intrigued the studio more. So from then on, Welker became the ultimate voice of Scooby-Doo, but only in the animation world, as in none of these live-action films so far has he ever lent his voice to this character. The Scooby-Doo voice we heard in those films was given by Aussie actor Neil Fanning, who also did a pretty good job. However, Netflix is rebuilding this franchise on pure nostalgia, so none other than Frank Welker could have been a better choice. Maybe just that decades-old famous Roro alone can bring back a flood of memories, which is why Frank's return is as much a smart creative decision as it is a brilliant selling point for this streaming giant. Paul Walter Hauser is playing Scooby's original owner, and that changes the lore. So, from the get-go, we're noticing a lot of changes deliberately created by the creative team behind this project. And one of them is changing the foundation of Scooby's relationship with Shaggy. Paul Walter Hauser is an interesting addition to the cast, along with the meddling teen members. Hauser, who we've previously seen in films like The Naked Gun and Blackbird, is cast as the actual owner of this puppet. And that changes a lot for this story, because for all these years, we've known Shaggy to be Scooby's owner from his birth, but now the origin story is saying otherwise. They're saying that in this upcoming show, Shaggy and Scooby's bond is not a given storyline, but will be a discovery. They're basically rewriting the fiction in a very appreciative way, which is not meant to hurt the fandom, but the question is, will the first meetup between Scooby and Shaggy itself become a mystery in this story? Let's look into the plot details to confirm that theory. What's the story and what details go beyond the official synopsis? Okay, so first of all, let me clarify that there's not yet an established Mystery Inc. because this first season is going to be all about how the gang members meet for the first time, how their bonding will grow over time until they finally come up with their sleuthing group of Mystery Inc. The plot details we've come across so far suggest that this little pup who's been sniffing around the grass has perhaps already witnessed a supernatural murder in the camp. Meanwhile, Shaggy and Daphne are already close friends, and they're yet to meet the scientific townie Velma and the handsome new kid Fred Jones. So everything's still at a starting point for this season. So we have no idea what kind of supernatural crime will take place in this camp for these teenagers to forget their summer holidays and investigate their surroundings. The one Easter egg we've recovered is the name of the camp is called Ruby Spears, which is a direct nod to the original writers of the classic cartoon in 1969. If you don't know who Joe Ruby and Ken Spears are, let me tell you they're the actual brains behind these iconic characters that that we still relish to this very day. The tone is closer to Stranger Things than the cartoon. Now, after a massive success in streaming almost all over the world, Netflix has developed a tendency to bring Stranger Things back again and again through different projects and different media. And not just Netflix, many other streaming media have also tried to do their own thing imitating the series. But I hope Scooby-Doo won't fall for that niche, although there's a high possibility that it might go in the same direction. And as much as we know about the nature of the OG animated series, the supernatural murders, dark entities, mysterious summer camp with meddling teenagers trying to solve a mystery, this can anytime start feeling like a cousin brother of Stranger Things. Another reason is that the target audience isn't just kids, because many grown-ups will also come back for old time's sake. Keeping that in mind, I think creators must have had some specific ideas on how they're going to handle the storyline, which will probably not be a totally childish thing, or a mindless imitation of Netflix's most successful teen show ever. Who are the 4 core cast members? Leading the narrative are our all-time 4 favorite characters. Freddie Jones is played by Maxwell Jenkin, whom we know from Lost in Space. Then we have the pit starer Tanner Hagen as Norval Shaggy Roberts, who we already saw in the newly dropped teaser. And then Velma is portrayed by Abby Ryder Fortson, who you might have seen before in Ant-Man. And last but not least, Daphne, played by McKenna Grace, a very known face who you saw in previous films like Ghostbusters Afterlife, The Haunting of Hill House, and her very recent work in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Grace also had a prior involvement with the franchise because in the 2020 animated film Scoob, she had voiced Daphne and was all set to reprise the role in its sequel before Warner Brothers canceled the project. So yeah, the cast is sprawling with talented actors, and I hope they'll be able to bring that timeless charm of Scooby-Doo back to the screen. Where and when is it streaming? So from now on, if you ask Scooby-Doo, where are you? The answer is definitely going to be Netflix. The exact release date is yet under wraps, but the official announcement has strictly revealed it to be a 2027 release. How many episodes are in Season 1? Scooby-Doo, as I said before, can definitely become a Stranger Things kind of franchise, but the one I'm talking about in this video is going to be a limited series with only 8 episodes, as per the official announcements. Yeah, if this one works like a charm, chances are high the series will branch out into many other seasons under different titles, but this one will come with a single goal of establishing the origin of a Great Dane pup becoming a super sleuth dog, as well as the apple of all of our eyes. So if you're hoping this series is going to become the next big thing, you gotta hold your horses and see how Netflix measures their success on this one before thinking about any other installments. When did this project actually start? One thing I absolutely love about the development history of this project is that it wasn't finished in a hurry. Instead, it took more than 2 years to mindfully reimagine the world of Scooby-Doo. The first development was initiated in April of 2024, and at that point it was merely a concept held under the rights bought by Warner Brothers. Then, the collaborators joined in, like Berlanti Productions and Midnight Radio, with all the early planning already sketched back before they hit the actual production. Then a final announcement came in March of 2025 that the project had now moved past the development stage and entered the pre-production phase. On April 24th, 2026, filming began in Atlanta, Georgia. The series is still in production, maybe wrapping up their post-production phase, so maybe by the end of this year, we'll get to see an official trailer of the series. Who are the supporting cast members with hidden roles? So apart from the lead cast of our 4 teenagers and their canine in the middle, the series also has some supporting cast members in their undisclosed roles. Sarah Gilbert, who's famously known for her long-running role as Darlene in Roseanne and The Connors, is going to be a stunning addition to the story, but we don't have any idea what character she's going to play. And then we got Maxwell Simpkins, who you might have seen in The Sleepover and The Mighty Ducks Game Changers. Both of them are pretty famous for their energetic comedic presence, so maybe they're allies of this newly forming friends group, or maybe they're the enemies these teens would have to survive. Besides that, we also have a list of other supporting casts, such as Bruce McGill, Sherry Lynn Fenn, Rusty Schwimmer, and Peter Metcalf. Who are the showrunners and what have they made before? First and foremost, we got writer, showrunner, and executive producer Josh Applebaum, who is known to have a very signature style in Hollywood, which is reviving the old animated classics and remaking them into a slightly darker tone. He did the same with his previous work, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and now Scooby-Doo. And backing him, we have Scott Rosenberg from Midnight Radio in The Team. Rosenberg has previously worked in Con Air and Jumanji: The Next Level, which aren't exactly old cartoon revivals, but yeah, the energy's kind of the same. The ensemble cast in a mass entertaining story. Well, then we've got Greg Berlanti, the writer and producer behind the entire Arrowverse, as well as Sarah Schechter, who worked alongside Greg in Fly Me to the Moon and has also been associated with projects like Constantine, City of Demons. So a great lineup has already worked together to bring their vision to life. life, and we as an audience will be able to experience their work on the Netflix screens pretty soon. What did the first teaser actually show? So, as we've already come to the end of this video, let's talk about this freshly released teaser and what exactly we're getting from it. So, the teaser starts with Scooby's POV shots of sniffing his way into a place that looks like a modern time summer camp. Then, we see a teenage Shaggy played by Tanner Hagen, picking him up and showering him with his love. We finally get a glimpse of a real Great Dane puppy in his turquoise and yellow collar. As I've said before, the spots aren't visible on his body yet because it's an origin story, and our Scooby-Doo is still a little baby. That's it. That's how this cute little pup got his home in Shaggy's arms and is soon becoming a mystery-solving dog who can talk. So that's it, guys. Those are the most confirmed details that I've been able to recover from their production records so far, and it already looks promising. We still have a whole year to get more information on the project, as well as their official teasers and trailers. For now, I'd call this teaser one of the very first looks of Scooby-Doo Origins, and I'm sure that we're going to get more and more glimpses of that world. On that note, this video is over. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel, and ring that notification bell so that when we get Scooby-Doo updates, you get Scooby-Doo updates. Also, let us know in the comments about your opinion on the newly released teaser. Until then, goodbye, and we'll see you in the next one. And don't you forget to stay marvelous.